All right, we are on chapter, I don't know what chapter we're on. 14? Chapter 14, right? Going outside, touching grass as it were. I think we're going to learn the word for grass probably. Again, reminders, review, learning language is work. That's why we went from 100-ish people the first day of class to 25 maybe? A little less than 25 now. So we have weeded out the weak and only the strong remain. So that's good. Hopefully some people online are learning a little bit from this. So what we are doing in chapter 14 is the sort of generic, sort of thematic thing is going outside. But the grammatical thing is demonstratives, which are another type of pronoun. And then we're going to talk about how to ask questions, and we're going to talk about how to make commands, which is called the imperative. As usual, while you're learning this language, actually I'm curious, raise your hand if this is your first time formally learning a language. So if you've taken Spanish or something, you would already know what a demonstrative is, right? You know why? Again, because most of the time when we're taking English classes, it's rare, there's not many schools, at least there weren't when I was in school, that will teach us English grammar while we're learning English. We'll just sort of use it. And we don't pay attention to the sort of grammatical aspects of it. But when we learn another language for the first time, then we understand how grammar works. So if you've taken another language and I say a demonstrative pronoun, who knows what that is? Can somebody tell me? Or did you forget?
Yeah, I forgot.
Okay. So a demonstrative pronoun is this or that. So a pronoun is something that takes the place of a noun. So a personal pronoun is a word that takes the place of a personal noun. So he or she. We learned those recently, didn't we? Yeah, I think we did. Ana, ayet, and so on. A demonstrative pronoun is a pronoun that, demonstrates is the kind of a weird way to say it, but it's when you're sort of pointing at something. And so when you say this or that, that's what a demonstrative is. So I think that's where we're starting. Yeah. So let me just read the way I phrased it here, and then I can start explaining it. Demonstrative pronouns are words that refer to things, whether nearby or far away. That's actually going to be an important difference. Whether something is next to you or far from you is going to change the word you use. In English, they are this and these for nearby things, singular and plural, and that and those for far away things. Okay? In English, we already know it. Maybe you never thought about it in that way, but that's how those demonstratives work in English. It's basically the same in Chaldean, except there are two versions of that, one for masculine and one for feminine objects. Remember, there's no neuter in Chaldean, so nothing can be it. Everything has to be he or she. So in other words, you're basically learning more vocab here, vocabulary words. There's a word for this, a word for these, and then two words for that. One for masculine and one feminine. And then one word for those. So let's see. There is something near me. Everyone say Adi.
Adi.
So this thing is near me. Adi Kthawa. Okay. Now, you will also hear, instead of Adi Kthawa, you'll hear a contraction. Adh Kthawa. Everyone say Adh Kthawa. So Adh is just a contraction of Adi. It means the same thing. Don't confuse yourself thinking, oh, there's like a little nuance. No, they're used interchangeably. So this, something nearby, singular, is Adi. If there's more than one, any plural, a set of objects that is close to you, you would say any. Everyone say any. So let's say I have two books. I guess I have two books here now. Any Kthawe. Or, again, for short, en Kthawe. Everyone say en Kthawe. So any. Everyone say any. En. Just a contraction. It's sort of so close I didn't even really add it to the book. Maybe I should have, whatever. Okay. If something is far away, that, so if you want to say that book, and it's over there, I'm talking about her book on her table, I'm going to say awa. Everyone say awa. So awa kthawa. Everyone say awa kthawa. Or You can say o kthawa. Again, these are contractions of the same idea. All right? And then if it's feminine, so you have like brata, aya brata. Everyone say aya brata. That girl. Or e brata. Everyone say e brata. All right? And then if you want to say those, whatever, those people, ane nashe. So let's look at it kind of a little more analytically. Look at the word for these. Ani. Everyone say ani. Those is ane. Ani. Ane. So what's the difference between these and those? You sort of lengthen the vowel. So you'll see this sometimes in Semitic languages, just the changing of a vowel is going to sort of adjust the word as you need it. So just kind of get used to that. And there are some words, actually, you know what? I think we're going to get this vocab soon. You know what? I'm going to save this till when we get this vocab. There's a kind of funny thing that you'll find with some of these words. Okay. These are usually used the same way in English, coming before the noun in the sentence. Everyone say, ene kthawe. Those, so actually this is supposed to be ane kthawe. Everyone say, ane kthawe. Those books. Aya bakhta. Adi gora. This man. Repeat after me. Many. Again, once in a while you'll hear somebody say mani. Everyone say mani. Either of those can mean who. Question? Okay. Maha, everyone say maha, means what. Iman means when. Eka or eka, everyone say eka, where. So where is this thing? Everyone say tamaha. Another way to say the word why is everyone say qay or qay. These are all synonyms, okay, for the same idea. And if you want to ask how, everyone say dich or dech. You can, so there you are, there's there if you want to use it. Yeah, we're going to get into a fight today. We're going to have some village issues. And if you really want to stress you're from certain villages, you could just make the yod forever. Dech iwit. I wonder where you're from, buddy. Okay. God bless us all. Again, the word order is the same as in English. Everyone say dich iwit. Or dech iwit. That's perfectly fine. How are you? So dech, how, iwit, you. How you. But remember, iwit is not just you, it's also you are. So how you are. How you are. Dich iwit or dech iwit. Everyone say eka ile. Where, eka, ile, they are. Where they are. Where are they? Many ile. Who is he? So far so good? Practice. Simple as that. The easiest verbal pattern. Now I'm actually going to give you another simple verb. We already know the static present verb. Iwin, iwit, ile. I'm going to give you another verbal form. The easiest verbal pattern, or a conjugation, in Chaldean is the imperative. Everyone say imperative. That is a command word. For most verbs, there are exceptions to this, which I'm not going to deal with in the green book. We're going to get to it in the blue book. But for most verbs, there are only two pieces to the pattern. A singular and a plural. If you're talking to one person and you want him to do something, you say ud. If you're talking to a group of people, you say udu. Let's look at another verb. If you want to say take, you want to hand somebody a lovely Gatorade Zero, shkol. And if you have many of them and you want to hand them out to your friends, you say shkulu. So let's pay attention to the pattern. So the singular imperative is the first two root letters, an o sound, and then the third root letter. Uod. Everyone say uod. Shkol. If you want to tell somebody to kill somebody, qtol. Okay? You probably shouldn't have many scenarios in life where you use that. If you do, we should talk. Okay? If you are speaking to a group of people and you want them to do something, everyone say udhu. If you want them to take, shkulu. If you want them to kill, qtulu. You feel the pattern? So here is my advice. There are two ways to understand how verbs work in all Semitic languages. This is if you're kind of like an analytical person, if you like to analyze and see patterns and stuff like that, the way to understand the way these imperatives work, and all verbs, but I'm just going to worry about this imperative. You know what a variable is in algebra? Like x? X is a variable. That means it can represent any number. So far, so good? So I'm going to use x as a variable. So when you have an imperative, you have the first variable, then the second variable, then then the third variable. Just think about this for a second. There are three x. Actually, you know what? I'm going to use three different variables. X, Y, and Z. This looks really funny. Okay. And this is a wow. This is a sound, right? Xioz or zoik. Zoiks. This is a terrible. Okay. Listen, hear me out. Hear me out. This has helped a lot of people understand this. Most verbs in most Semitic languages have exactly 3 root letters. You'll find this as the more you learn them. Most verbs in most Semitic languages have exactly 3 root letters. There are some that just have 2. There are some that have 4. There's a couple of weird ones that have 5, which are very rare. But it's usually 3. Almost all of them are 3. Okay? So the root of the word to do is these 3 letters. The root of the word to take is these 3 letters. The root of the word to kill is these 3 letters. So if you want to take this and make it an imperative, a singular imperative, you take the first root letter and stick it under x. Okay? You take the second root letter and you put it where y is. Then you put, instead of the variable, you have a constant. Is that the word? Constants and variables, right? Then you take your constant and you put it in. Then you take your third variable and plug it in. Does that make sense? And then the constant comes here. And now you have this root, and you have od. And if you want to make it plural, the pattern is x, y, u, z, u. So you have wu, thu. If you want to take this root and make it singular imperative, it is first x, then the second one y, then o, then the third variable, shkol. And this is qtol. And if you want to make them plural, you use this pattern. Shku, lu. Qtu, lu. Every single 3-letter strong verb, don't worry about what a strong verb is yet, every single 3-letter strong verb will take these patterns if you want to make it a command. Udu, rod, udu, shkol, shkulu, qtol, qtulu. So it's a matter of taking these variables and inserting the root letters into a pattern, and then you get this. Now, why is this idea actually much more powerful than this? You can do a lot with this idea. Because this is how you also make every possible verb. If you want to take, I'll get a little bit ahead so you can see what's going on here. If you want to say, so this means to do, right? This root. If you want to say I did, well, there's another algebra pattern for that. You take, actually, let me do the x's and y's first. You do x, y, I, Z, and then lemad and yod. So if you want to say I did, you just stick in this root into these three variables. And you have with li. If you want to say I took, you say, oh, sorry, I misspelled it. Shqel li. If you want to say I killed, you say qtil li. It's the exact same pattern. And if you want to say you killed, you adjust this to and you change it a little bit. This is just how verbs work. That's all I'm explaining right now. Okay? That you have three spots where you can stick in your root letters, and then you have other stuff that doesn't change. Does this make sense to you as an idea? Okay? If you get this, it'll help you for the rest of the language and for any Semitic language you learn. When you learn Hebrew, you're going to do the same thing. When you learn Gushma, you're going to do the same thing. When you learn Arabic, I would assume Arabic does the same thing. I'm pretty sure Arabic does the same thing. So this is kind of a mess on the board, but I just want you to understand this basic concept. Now, another way to do this, if you're less analytic, if you're less kind of a brainy, nerdy person, just get a feel for it. Wad. And you just get the feel, shqol, wad. That's just the feel. That's what it sounds like when you're commanding somebody to do something. Wudu, you just get the feel, ooh. And that's what it is to command a group of people. The body is very much involved in learning a language. I mean, among other things, that's your memory resides in your brain, which is a physical organ. But it's also the whole, your language belongs, it's sort of a function of your mouth, the way that you speak and the way you hear. So get your mouth and your ears involved. It's very hard, unless you have a certain type of weird brain, it's very hard to learn a language by sitting there and just looking at a book. That's not usually the way languages work. Languages work by being loud. Say it out loud. Bother your roommates. Let them be annoyed of you making noise all the time. Because that's where the language originates, with sounds. So do that and you'll get a feel for it. And what you'll do, for example, let's say you want to learn these patterns. What I used to do is I would draw a stick figure on one note card. And then I would draw two stick figures on another note card. And then I would put them in two parts of my room, and I would point at them while talking to them. And I would say, shqol, shqulu, wad, wudu. This is how you learn a language. You got to be goofy. And the goofier you are, the better you're going to learn it. I promise. Okay? All right, good. So that's just the imperative. Qtol, qtulu, and so on with all kinds of other verbs. Okay. Good so far? Let's see what Maryam and David are flirting about today. Maryam says, Ba'adi yarchad ab, say it. Kawa pocha shachina. It's very true. David, Eu ilane, kiawi pere kabire. Maryam says, Kud athe anane bnisan. كماثي مطرة أمي وبقيطة كبيشة أرأى يرقت وشبرت. ديفيد آذي كامر بابي بلوخ بأرى بقويوما وبليلة Dmoch. You got a couple imperatives there, right? Ploch and dmoch. Ploch, dmoch, shqol, wad, qtol. Now you have two more. Ploch, dmoch. Same exact pattern. Okay? Uyimmi kamrali. Dros. That's another imperative. Bekthawa. Tedla chazyat. Yomatha kome. Sounds like a Chaldean mom, right? Ba'athi yoma khwara imid talgad sitwa. He's a real charmer, that David. I hope they end up together. What's going to happen? Let's learn some outside words. Everyone say sitwa, which we are theoretically in right now, even though it was about 75 degrees today in San Diego. After sitwa comes rabi'a or ruwi'a, spring. Yep. Yeah. And then after spring comes the worst season of all, qayta, summer. And then for fall we say tishriyatha. Yep. Which just means, I guess it technically means October and November, because Tishrin, but we don't worry about that. Oh, well, actually we're going to learn the months right here. Let's learn the months of the year. January, hilariously, is, everyone say kanon, and it's actually the way you say it is detre. So kanon 2, because beth means 2. So the second kanon, there's 2 kanons. One is December and one is January. And January, the first month of the year, is the second kanon. Why? Because the year actually began in April. And so that was just this, January and December were, December and January were just random months in the middle of the year. They didn't really start the year. So January is kanon detre, and then February is ishwat. Yep. March is adar. April is Nisan. May is Iyar, which is actually a family's last name. They're named after the month of May. Iyar. Ghziran, June. Tammuz, July. Ab, August. Elul, or Elul, pronounced either way, September. Then the first, everyone say Tishrin, and then Tishrin detre. And then finally we get the first kanon. It is actually a little bit more common, instead of saying the name of the month, a lot of times people will say Yarcha de Tmenia. I would say Yarcha de Tmenia, which means the month of the 8th, which means August, the 8th month. You'll actually hear that a little bit more often, but you'll hear the month names enough. So February, Yarcha de Tre. You'll hear that sometimes. Okay, let's see what happens outside. Approximately 1 hour a year, we in San Diego see some matra. I would say matra, rain. And that comes from the 2 times a year we see an anana, cloud. And once in a while we get some, everyone say pocha. And we never get to see telga. And usually it is basima. It can mean nice or sweet or tasty. It has kind of all these pleasant meanings. In general, it means pleasant. That's what basima means. Pashua, tepid, which is kind of like whatever, lukewarm, I guess. Qarira, cold. If it's feminine, what are you going to do? If something feminine is cold, qarirta, you're going to stick a taw at the end. Remember that? We'll learn about how to do that in the blue book. We'll get there. Qarira, qarirta. And then shakhina is hot. You'll also hear the word khamma to mean warm. I don't think I have that in here. I should have put that in here. Khamma is warm. Ice is glida, technically. However, we use the word telga. If you want to get some ice from the fridge, we'll use the word telga as well. So it can mean both of them. But technically, ice is glida. All right. Colors. I will say abrisam, purple. Zarqa, blue. If that's the color of your eyes, you'll get 1 extra goat when you're married. Khwara, white. Yaruqa, green. Qama, black. Smoqa, red. Portaqalaya. So the word portaqal comes from some Western language, and we just like orange. Like, what's the color orange? What's the color of that fruit? The orange, yeah. Everyone say qatmaya, which means ashy or gray. So the word qatma, which your mom tells you a lot about putting it on your head, means ash. Qatmaya means an ashy color, gray. Sha'utha yellow. That actually comes from the word for wax. Okay, and then tumraya, brown, which means date colored. Okay, now let's practice something from before. If you want to say khwara, so khwara means white, but it can also mean a white man. Remember, qadisha can mean a holy man. Khwara can mean a white man. Bisha can mean an evil man. If you want to say a white woman, you stick a ta on there, khwarta. Everyone say khwarta. If you want to say white people, you say khware. See what I mean? If you wanted to talk about green trees, ilane yaruqe. Everyone say yaruqe. So here's some more imperative verbs. Everyone say grosh, grushu. So that's pull, singular and plural. To sleep, which some of you are doing as we speak, dmoch, dmuchu. Steve, we yawned at the perfect time. That was amazing. Dros, drusu. That's what I tell you guys, right? To study. Luosh, luushu. To wear. Nchoth, nchuthu. To go down, to descend. Uoth, udhu. To do. Roq, ruqu. To run. Ploch, pluchu. To work. Shma, shmu'u. To listen. Shqol, shqulu. To take. You feel in the patterns? O, u. O, u.